Aaron Carlos had crossed dozens of galaxies before, but nothing prepared him for the sudden silence that swallowed his ship. One moment, the navigation system was glowing with stable coordinates. Then, without warning, everything went dark. The teleport engine let out a violent spark, and the stars outside twisted into unfamiliar shapes. When the lights returned, every map he had ever downloaded showed the same message: no data available. He was truly lost. Floating in the endless void, Aaron tried to send distress signals, but the galaxy around him refused to answer. No stations, no travelers, not even background radiation. It was as if he had slipped into a pocket of the universe that did not belong to anyone or anything. Just when fear started to crawl into his thoughts, a strange glow appeared far ahead. A lonely planet covered in shimmering lights, calling to him like a distant whisper. With no other choice, Aaron guided his damaged ship toward the mysterious world. As he descended through its atmosphere, colors he had never seen before swirled around him. This planet was not on any known chart, yet it welcomed him with silent beauty. He had hoped for safety, but deep inside, he felt something else waiting. Something hidden, ancient, and aware of his arrival. Carlos stepped out of his damaged starship, and the first thing he noticed was the light, soft, glowing colors drifting through the air like floating dust. The plants surrounding him pulsed with gentle neon shades of blue, green, and purple. Every leaf seemed alive, breathing slowly, as if the entire forest watched his arrival. For a moment, he felt a strange mix of fear and awe. The world was dangerous, but impossibly beautiful. As he walked farther from the landing site, the ground beneath him changed texture from smooth sand to soft, sponge-like soil that reacted to each step. Strange creatures moved between the bushes, their shapes unlike anything recorded in the galactic databases. Some looked like floating jellyfish made of light, while others resembled animals, but with too many eyes. Despite their unusual appearance, most creatures kept their distance, silently observing. Carlos scanned the area with his multi-tool, hoping to detect resources to repair his systems. The readings were confusing, energies shifting unpredictably, as though the planet itself refused to be understood. His visor flickered strangely every few seconds, picking up faint signals that vanished before he could analyze them. Something out there was interfering with his equipment. The deeper he ventured, the stronger the feeling became. It was subtle at first, a sensation on the back of his neck, a whisper of instinct telling him he wasn't alone. Then he saw it, a shadow moving between the glowing trees, large and fluid, too fast to identify. Carlos froze. The silence around him thickened like fog. Whatever it was, it watched him before slipping away into the dark. Trying to calm his racing heartbeat, Carlos recorded a voice log. Unknown life forms detected, possibly intelligent. recommend extreme caution." His voice trembled slightly, but he kept moving. He needed resources, and turning back now wasn't an option. Not if he wanted to survive. As he reached a cliff overlooking a valley of glowing rivers, he felt it again. Stronger, unmistakable. Someone, or something, was following him. Not a creature acting on instinct, but an intelligence hidden in the shadows. And from the way it moved, Carlos realized a chilling truth. It had been watching him since the moment he arrived. Carlos spent days wandering the glowing forests, searching for minerals and energy cells to fix his damaged ship. Every step he took seemed to lead him towards something older than the world itself. Then, hidden beneath massive vines, he found it. Ruins carved from black stone, humming faintly as if still alive. Dust fell from the walls as he brushed them, revealing symbols that pulsed with a strange blue light. Inside the ruins, the air changed. It felt thicker, heavier, almost aware of his presence. As Carlos walked deeper, his scanner began picking up repeating signals, short bursts of sound that formed patterns. At first, they sounded random, but after a while, he noticed the rhythm. It was as if the ruins were trying to speak to him. He recorded the signal, hoping to decode it later. The deeper he went, the more unsettling everything became. Strange murals covered the walls, figures that looked almost human, standing beside towering machines. Some symbols resembled warnings. Others looked like maps of distant galaxies. Carlos felt a quiet pressure against his mind, like a whisper brushing the edges of his thoughts. The ruins weren't just abandoned, they were listening. When he finally reached the central chamber, the signal became clear. It played over and over, the same sequence in dozens of unknown languages. Some were harsh and metallic, others soft and melodic, but all carried the same message. The repetition made him dizzy, and for a moment he felt memories that weren't his. Flashes of cities underwater, stars collapsing, beings walking through energy fields as if they were doors. Carlos stumbled out of the chamber, breathing hard. The whispers didn't stop. Even in the open air, he could still hear the signal echoing inside his head, repeating the same alien phrase. He didn't understand it, but the emotion behind it was unmistakable. Fear. A fear so ancient and deep, it felt like it belonged to the ruins themselves. That was when Carlos realized the truth. The signals weren't calling for help. They were warnings. Whatever destroyed this forgotten civilization hadn't just vanished. And now, after thousands of years, it had noticed him. Carlos stepped through the ancient gateway, expecting a simple tunnel or chamber, but instead, he found himself floating in a place that felt outside of reality. The sky was a swirling mix of colors he had never seen before, shifting like liquid light. Every breath felt heavy, as if the air itself was watching him. He tried to turn back, but the portal behind him dissolved like smoke. He was trapped in a world where space and time obeyed no rules. As he moved forward, the ground beneath him changed shape. One moment he stood on solid rock, the next on soft sand, and then on glowing metal. In the distance, he saw planets rise and disappear within seconds, like scenes from different universes blending together. It became clear that this dimension wasn't a single place. It was thousands of possibilities merging into one endless maze. Soon, he began to notice something even stranger. Every time he made a decision, turn left, reach for an object, choose a direction, the world shifted dramatically around him. When he hesitated, the maze paused. When he acted, it transformed. It was as if the labyrinth was reading his thoughts and changing itself based on them. The idea terrified him. His mind was shaping the dimension, whether he wanted it to or not. As he wandered deeper, he started encountering versions of landscapes he had seen on the unknown planet outside. Forests glowing with blue fire, mountains floating upside down, oceans that flowed upward into the sky. But every version felt slightly wrong. Either too quiet, too dark, or too familiar. He began to wonder if these were memories of the planet, or memories of countless other explorers who had entered this place before. Hours, or maybe days, passed. Time no longer made sense. Carlos felt reality slipping each time the maze reset. Sometimes he found himself back at the portal. Sometimes he appeared in a place he had never seen. Sometimes he felt as if he had already lived a moment before. The repetition was slowly wearing him down. He couldn't tell if he was moving forward or simply spinning in circles inside a living dream. Then, in a moment of clarity, he saw something that froze his blood. A human figure, distant, blurry, but unmistakably real. It moved exactly as he did, step for step, gesture for gesture. It wasn't watching him, it was him. Another Carlos, trapped in another version of the maze. And as their eyes finally met across the shifting world, he understood the terrifying truth. He wasn't alone in the labyrinth. There were many of him, all lost, all searching, all making different choices that twisted the maze in endless directions. Carlos stepped into a chamber filled with floating crystals, each one glowing with a soft blue pulse. As he moved deeper inside, the walls shifted like liquid metal, revealing symbols he had seen before, symbols from the signals that kept repeating in his mind. Suddenly, a cold realization hit him. The stars outside, the planets he had traveled between, even the strange fog in the air, none of it felt truly real. It was as if the universe itself was a thin layer covering something hidden underneath. A low hum began to rise around him. The crystals rearranged, projecting a holographic map of the galaxy. But it wasn't the galaxy he knew. This one was smaller, connected by invisible wires and artificial structures. A mechanical voice echoed through the chamber, calm yet inhuman. It explained that this entire region of space was a controlled simulation created by an ancient civilization. They were once explorers just like him, but far more advanced, and they became obsessed with understanding how different minds reacted to fear, hope, and isolation. Carlos felt his heart race as more crystals lit up. Images flashed around him, scenes of different landscapes he had visited, each one dissolving like a fading dream. But the shock didn't stop there. Another image appeared, one that froze him in place. Himself. Not just once, but dozens of times. Different suits, different environments, different timelines. Each one facing challenges similar to his, but with slight changes, as if he were part of a massive psychological experiment. A door slid open on the far side of the room. From the shadows stepped a figure wearing the same suit as Carlos. The visor lifted slowly, revealing a face identical to his. The copy looked tired, like someone who had lived a lifetime inside this illusion. "I thought I was the only one," the other Carlos whispered. Behind him, more figures appeared, each one a version of him, shaped by different choices and realities. The truth hit him harder than any alien threat. He wasn't lost in an unknown galaxy. He wasn't the first. He wasn't even unique. Every time he made a choice, another version of him was created inside this simulation, living out a different scenario. The ancient civilization wasn't watching a single explorer. They were studying countless variations of the same mind, over and over again. Carlos backed away, his thoughts spinning. If this world was artificial, and if there were many versions of him, then the key to escape wasn't repairing his ship or mapping the stars. It was understanding why he had been chosen and what the experiment wanted from him. As the copies stared at him in silence, he realized one terrifying thing. Some of them weren't looking for escape. They were looking for control. Carlos stood at the center of the artificial galaxy, staring at a figure that looked exactly like him. Same face, same uniform, same fear hidden behind tired eyes. But this other version moved differently, thinking faster, predicting his steps as if it had lived this moment already. The realization hit him like a shockwave. Every decision he had made inside this strange dimension had created a new Carlos, each trapped in their own branch of the endless maze. And now, one of them had found a way to bend the rules, and was determined to stop him from leaving. The two men circled each other as the simulated sky shifted between colors and shapes. Red nebulae melting into spirals of blue and white. The other Carlos spoke first, his voice calm but cold. He claimed that escape would break the cycle, destroying every version that evolved inside the experiment. "We are the experiment," he said. "If you leave, everything ends." But Carlos refused to believe that survival meant abandoning his true self. He knew he couldn't stay in this artificial dream forever. He had to reach the real universe, no matter the cost. The confrontation turned violent. Every strike felt like fighting a mirror that anticipated every move. Yet something was different. Carlos had learned to think outside the patterns of this dimension. He changed his rhythm, acted before thinking, and broke the sequence that kept the loop stable. For the first time, the other version hesitated. That hesitation allowed Carlos to push forward, escaping his double's grasp and sprinting toward the ancient gate that pulsed with unstable energy. The portal towered before him, its symbols shifting like living light. Carlos remembered the fragments of knowledge he gathered from the ruins. The old civilization built these gates to study minds, not trap them. The key wasn't force, but intention. He placed his hand on the control panel and focused not on escape alone, but on closure, ending the loop, releasing every trapped version from an eternity of repetition. The gate responded, flickering violently, as if choosing whether to obey him. Behind him, the other Carlos screamed, whether in anger, fear, or desperation, he couldn't tell. The entire dimension trembled. Time folded. Planets flickered in and out of existence, and the sky shattered into glowing pieces like broken glass. With a final surge of will, Carlos activated the gate. Light exploded around him, pulling him forward with a violent, blinding force. Then, silence. He felt weightless, drifting through a narrow tunnel of light. The dimension collapsed behind him like a dying star, and for a moment, he wondered if he had destroyed himself along with it. But he held on to one thought: freedom. Whether he truly escaped or simply moved into another layer didn't matter. He had taken control. And for the first time since entering the strange galaxy, he finally felt real. Carlos opens his eyes slowly, feeling the cold metal floor of his ship beneath him. The lights flicker back to life, and for a moment, everything feels normal, almost too normal. The galaxy outside his window looks exactly as it did before the chaos began. Silent, empty, and endless. But deep inside, he knows something has changed. His memories feel heavier, sharper, like he has lived more than one lifetime. As he rises to his feet, navigation system boots up with a familiar hum. No distortion, no illusions, just the clear map of space he once knew. Yet a strange sensation follows him, as if the other versions of himself are still out there, drifting through different timelines. He wonders, did he really escape the infinite loop? Or is this just another layer of the same illusion? The question lingers in the back of his mind, refusing to fade. Suddenly, the ship's console glows with a pulse. One soft, rhythmic signal. He freezes. It is not a warning, nor is it a glitch. It is a message, repeating in the same pattern he once saw inside the artificial galaxy. A sign, or a call. Carlos stares into the void, realizing that this may not be the end of his journey. Perhaps he broke free. Or perhaps the adventure has only just begun. And with the next heartbeat of the signal, the stars seem to shift, inviting him forward into the unknown.